Welcome back to another video, ladies and gentlemen. I'm finally getting to it. The space sharks, the Carcharodons. I think still with these. If you think the this chapter of the Astartes is interesting enough, I will watch the Baltimore one on it because I have that too. But other than that, sending out all the love. I don't know if I said that already. You know me. But but anyways, let's not waste any more time. If you'd like me to react to anything, leave it in the comments. I do want to start directing them to the DMs, like DM me on Twitter, Instagram, or email me reactions that you would like me to see, because those are more alerts I'm looking out for rather than going through comments. But still leave down in the comments. And yeah, other than that, let's start. And did you drink your water today? Did you eat? Did you make your bed? Did you get up? Did you say 5 things you're grateful for? Think about that. Think about that. If you didn't do it right now, pause the video and do it right now. Think about 5 things you're grateful for. Alright, let's go.
Often really like to lean on what their chapter is named after. Raven Guard have beaked helmets.
What the heck? Restart.
G'day guys and gal.
There we go.
Space Marine chapters in 40k often really like to lean on what their chapter is named after. Raven Guard have beaked helmets, Ultramarines are blue, and Imperial fists like fisting. But the Carcharodons, the space sharks, as I will now refer to them as to avoid the rage of greasy neckbeards who pull out their katanas and have a seizure every time I botch up a name pronunciation, take this to a whole nother level. They are literally sharks in every way, shape and form. Like, you think space wolves are wolves because they have sharp teeth and violate chihuahuas, but then you see these guys and you're like, wow, I'm going to ring the shark alarm now because that's a shark. We have shark alarms in Australia, not sure if that's a common thing. As I am working hard on the upcoming Homebrew Adventures animated series, I don't have time to smash out lore videos at the moment, so thankfully Sleepy Sack, a new lore channel for Warhammer, has stepped in to help me with this.
Hi everyone, Sleepy Sack here. I would like to give a massive, long, hard thank you to Major Kill for giving me this awesome opportunity to work with him. I'm quite new to the whole YouTube game, but I've been into 40k for years. I finally decided it was time to start creating videos for everyone to watch and hopefully enjoy.
Sleepy Sack has shown a really good...
when was this made? July 27, 2020? Hopefully Sleepy is doing good.
Great ability to edit videos way better than I ever could, so I appreciate him lending his expertise to this video. Link to his channel will be in the comments and description below, so if you enjoy this video, you'll probably enjoy his other ones as well. Today we'll discuss who the space sharks are and what their deal is. We'll also talk about exactly why they are literal sharks in space, as well as what they've been up to. Before we get started, do you long-term guys remember this video where a company reached out to me and wanted to do a collaboration with me on creating a novel, and I was like, sure, as long as I don't have to write the whole thing but I still make money, I'm in. Hence, I worked with over 40 of my fellow Warhammer nerds as well as Agreg to create Journeys Through Faladon, which now has a proper cover, website, and is soon to be published. It's got all the fun parts of a fantasy setting and it's a great read. Book will be live on Amazon on the 29th of July, so a couple days from now. So if you're looking for something new yet familiar, like our much beloved deceased Warhammer fantasy, then there you go. Let's get into it. 10,000 years before the Necrons were awakening, before the Tau were being uppity weebs, and before the Elder was so screwed that their final solution to all their problems was attempt to awaken the god of death, an oiled, muscly man with long flowing hair and extreme thrusting power lived on Earth. He spent his days frolicking with maidens, tending the fields, and preparing for galactic domination. Ha! You thought I was talking about Jesus for a second there, didn't you? Well, checkmate Christians, because I'm talking about the real Messiah, the God Emperor of mankind.
Yeah.
This man, the Big E, knew that the galaxy was a big scary place, and that nothing short of an army of demigod super soldiers would cut it. Hence, he created 20 legions of demigod super soldiers with an even more powerful super soldier leading each legion called a Primarch. Tell him what those legions did, Sleepy.
Well, if humanity was to survive against the endless threats posed by the forces of chaos, Xenos races, and even its own fragile nature, then a great deal of change was needed. With his new legions of super soldiers, the Emperor formulated a plan to bring errant worlds to Imperial compliance, uniting them all under a single banner. This was known as the Great Crusade, and was considered by many as the golden age of the Imperium. It acted as a catalyst which propelled humanity forwards, allowing them to unite and rebuild. Radical advancements in weapons technology were made, allowing the Space Marine legions to be equipped with the tools befitting the Emperor's finest. The Space Marine legions would form the core of the Emperor's mighty armies, supported by vast garrisons of Imperial Guard. These combined forces swept across the galaxy, conquering planet after planet, all under direct command of the Emperor himself. After achieving victory against the Orcs during the Ulnar Crusade, the Emperor returned to Terra to begin work on his next project. He bestowed the title of Imperial War Master upon Horus, the Primarch of the Lunar Wolves, giving him full command over the entirety of the Great Crusade, including all of his brother Primarchs and their vast legions of Space Marines.
This was going well until Horus thought it would be a good idea to sell his soul to the forces of hell and damn the galaxy to a war that mankind would never ever recover from. As a result of this, a lot of people died, including our glorious Hawk Boy as well as the Bold Man himself. The Emperor ended up so disabled that he would make Stephen Hawking look like an Olympic pole vaulter as well. Guilliman, the only Primarch left who had any common sense, broke up the Space Marine legions into 1,000-man strong chapters to distribute the power of the Imperium more, so that no one man would ever hold the power of a Space Marine legion ever again. Over 10,000 years of dividing chapters, creating new successor ones, experimenting with gene seed, and warp spaghetti, we ended up with a few really weird chapters. Some of their weirdness can be explained by heresy, such as the Minotaurs being Iron Warrior successors, or the Blood Ravens being Thousand Sun successors. But for the Space Sharks, it's still a bit of a mystery. The most prevalent theory is that Korax fucked a shark at some point, as the Space Sharks share a lot of similarities with the Raven Guard, such as being quiet little goth kids with black eyes. However, the fact that they are also sharks in power armor means that can't all be there is to it. The truth behind their origins is complicated and pretty irrelevant. It seems that they are exiled Raven Guard with gene seed mutations which make them sharky. They also seem to steal Night Lord's gene seed, hence making them somewhat hybrid, whilst also helping explain their intense love of blood and violence. To explain a space shark, we should first explain a shark. Sleepy Sack, take it away.
A shark is a formidable predator, capable of rousing fear and awe like no other creature in the sea. Sharks have evolved into swift and deadly killing machines, with mouths lined in multiple rows of serrated, spear-like teeth. When hunting, sharks specialize in lurking in the dark void of the ocean, ready to launch a vicious surprise attack on their prey.
So the Carcharodons, like, hunting in the deep void of the grim dark universe,
mercilessly tearing them to shreds with rows of razor-sharp teeth. When in large groups, sharks have been known to attack their prey in wild feeding frenzies, sometimes even attacking their own in the blood-crazed mayhem. The scent of freshly spilled blood only serves to amplify the intensity of their attacks.
That description is interchangeable with any shark, in space or not. Let me give you some examples. The space sharks reside as a roaming fleet in the deepest void of space, far from the Emperor's light, where they massacre threats to the Imperium many years before they would even be detected.
Wow.
They do not relish in ornaments or their ego, as they wear plain, ancient patchwork power armor. They rarely ever see the Imperium or the Mechanicus. They have to repair and maintain their own equipment, some of which is dated back to the Horus heresy. To recruit, they have something known as the Red Teeth, where they basically rock up to an Imperial world, kidnap all their prisoners, and try to turn them into space sharks, with the success rate being super low and the mortality rate being super high.
But Major Kill, isn't turning criminals into Astartes a really bad idea? The Night Lords did this and they became massive douchebags.
Shut your stupid retard mouth, Timmy, before I put raw fish in your underpants and unleash the space sharks upon you. The Night Lords were the result of giving cringy edgelord teens in juvie godlike weapons and powers, with no discipline or stability. The space sharks are a result of the same type of kids being scared straight by giant disciplined sharks with cold dead eyes. The super high mortality rate of the initiates into the sharks also generally means none of the pathetic ones get through anyway. Then there's the Grey Teeth, which is when the space sharks encounter a forge world and give them super old technology and also other random shit floating around deep in the void of space in exchange for new guns and toys. With these new guns, or should I say projectile melee weapons, as the sharks prefer to be able to smell their enemies from 3 meters away as they blow them apart.
Wait, okay, so I actually want to know this since it's always like talked about how they're in power armor, at least from Major Kills, since I always hear him say power armor. Was Warhammer and the Fallout line as old as each other? I don't know if I'm saying that like correctly for that to be understood, but like did one inspire the other, or is it just like no coincidences in the universe, but purely coincidental that there's power armor in the Fallout universe and power armor in this universe that looks very similar? Or is it just like one of those things? Because I actually wanted to know that.
The sharks do some serious damage.
Their power armor obviously looks, I think, 10 times bigger than the ones in Fallout, but I feel like there are some builds in the power armor. Yeah, no,
the space sharks were forgotten by the galaxy for thousands of years, as you know, there's a lot going on, so when a Space Marine chapter who was never chatty in the first place goes off in to live in Whoop Whoop, the Imperium wasn't too bothered with keeping track. Despite this, the space sharks would periodically return when the Imperium needed them to. Each time, no one was sure what side they were on, as they would arrive, massacre everyone with a tentacle or horn, and then return back to the darkness. They returned for Abaddon's 7th Black Crusade as the Blood Angels were getting clapped. The space sharks appeared out of nowhere and promptly embarrassed both the Cornite Berserkers as well as the Blood Angels, two groups known for their melee savagery, as the space sharks completely emascerated the anal cavities of the Black Legion. After the battle, the space sharks vanished and the Blood Angels had statues and honours erected for them, as no one knew who the space sharks were and just described it as if a large predatory beast had come and molested Abaddon. Now we all know the Night Lords like picking on weaker enemies and undefended worlds, because you know, they're a bunch of pussies. Hence, they got the surprise of their life when they began pillaging the Imperial world, which was also coincidentally the target of the space shark's next red teeth. Well, needless to say, in the animal kingdom, a shark would beat a bat. Hence, the Night Lords felt fear as they were massacred, their leader killed, and their
what the fuck is a bat doing in the water anyways? But yeah.
Pillage ruined.
When in combat, the space sharks love getting stuck into a fight. Out of all the Space Marine chapters, the space shark assaults are often the bloodiest. They carve their way through opponents wielding howling adamantium-toothed weaponry. Due to their shark-like characteristics, they prefer weapons lined with rotating teeth, such as chainswords and chain axes.
Makes sense.
Even bolter weapons are adapted to fit small rotary saws. These particular close combat weapons allow the space sharks to inflict a savage amount of bloodshed upon their enemies.
Now all good chapters are riddled with heresy, and the space sharks are no different. In the Void, there isn't a whole lot other than darkness and Tyranids. The space sharks destroyed countless splinter fleets, but knew they had to crush the nearby Genestealer cult to stop them from signalling out even more Tyranids. To do this, they called in an ancient favour from the Ashen Claws, a renegade chapter and enemy of the Imperium. With the favour called, they arrived at the heavily infested planet, which was a shrine world, and told everyone they weren't allowed to pray anymore. Now, telling a Genestealer infected shrine world that they aren't allowed to pray is like telling an American to wear a mask. It's just not going to go down peacefully. Fortunately for the space sharks, peace was never an option.
Baal Shah, captain of the Space Sharks' 3rd Company, led a vicious assault against the countless hordes of Genestealers.
Hold on, do you see his weapon? What the hell, bruh? That is so... What the halberd, bruh? Okay. Corny joke aside, this dude
of the Space Sharks' 3rd Company led a vicious assault against the countless hordes of Genestealers, but his forces were quickly overrun, surrounded on all sides by the seemingly endless tide of rending claws. The streets began to run red with blood and violence, and the members of the 3rd Company began to fall, one by one. The space sharks made a desperate last stand inside the stone walls of a nearby cathedral. However, the battle had gone according to plan. Baal Shah called forth the fury of the 1st Company, the veteran Terminator squads, supported by an ancient Contemptor pattern dreadnought. These heavily armoured warriors plunged into the fray, shredding apart the foul inhuman creatures with hails of bolter fire and lashes of close combat attacks. This powerful counterattack made short work of the Genestealers surrounding the cathedral. However, more and more swarmed the area by the minute.
Now, I'm not big on exterminatuses, but when an entire planet is full of Genestealers, it's really not the worst option. The space sharks are not one to ruin a good fight though, so they relish the opportunity to wreck some noobs. Eventually, so many Genestealers died so quickly that the Genestealer Patriarch emerged, and was put down just as quickly. Even with the Patriarch dead, there were still millions of angry Genestealers, hence it was only the arrival of the Ashen Claws was the 4-armed freaks finally put down for good. By the time the Imperial forces arrived, the Ashen Claws and Space Sharks were long gone, and the planet was a smoking ruin full of dead gene stealers. Basically a fun melee version of an exterminatus. The Space Sharks have featured pretty heavily in recent times as they distinguished themselves in the Badab War, an Imperial civil war between Astartes chapters. Help me out with this one, Sleepy.
The Space Sharks' first involvement in the Badab War began as their strike cruisers arrived to bolster the Loyalist cause against the civil uprising. They were initially unrecognised by many of the Loyalist forces, as their operational activities had always remained shrouded in mystery. They were eventually accepted into the battle lines after cautious investigations of their intentions. The Space Sharks were deployed to a territory controlled by the Mantis warriors in the Endymion cluster. Their mission was simple: the complete destruction of any planet within the cluster that was known to contain forces of Mantis warriors. This brutal action drew the Mantis warriors out, forcing them to abandon their hit-and-run tactics and return to protect their worlds from further casualties. Another notable contribution of the Space Sharks took place on Badab Primaris, during the final battle of the Badab War. The planet was the homeworld of the renegade Astral Claws chapter. The powerful atomic and geothermal reactors which provided power to the colossal hive cities and planetary defense guns on Badab Primaris were identified as a prime target. The Space Sharks sent in incursion forces who successfully sabotaged the reactors. The resulting catastrophic explosion shook the very foundations of the planet. Shockwaves radiated through the tectonic plates, opening up vast chasms that engulfed entire sections of the city. Plumes of molten lava began to spew from the surface as the entire planet collapsed on itself. Following this, the Space Sharks fleet returned to the Endymion cluster to harvest new recruits to replace those that had fallen in the bloody conflicts. After receiving their payment in blood, they departed back into the darkness of the outer void.
Now you might be like, Major Kill, I'm still not convinced these guys are genuine sharks. Well, let me finally put your concerns to rest.
I like this
Space Shark Librarians have two special unique abilities. One is called From the Depths, where they flood their enemy's mind with the sensation of drowning, and the other one is called Rending Maw, where they summon an avatar of a shark to kill their enemies. As Space Sharks age, their skin turns grey and rubbery, like a shark. They also progressively get demented, being uptight, merciless, and eventually so antisocial that they basically just wander off by themselves and kill bad guys until they die. Like a shark. So, not as bad as becoming a PTSD-fueled vampire, nor a furry, but still not super high on the Idealio scale. The Space Sharks are also incredibly silent yet violent. The kind of guy to sneak up on you, and instead of breaking your neck or choking you, they instantly give away their element of surprise by performing a Mortal Kombat fatality on you that may or may not involve you getting bitten. Just like a shark. Their preferences for travelling through the void is also a reference to a shark travelling in deep waters.
That's what I figured.
The only chapter I can think of that displays this level of ruthlessness and efficient hunting and killing are the Retributors from Astartes, which a lot of you guys drew comparisons with on my Retributors video. They wear unmarked basic armour, don't autistically screech before charging at the enemy, and they get shit done. I made a point recently that having the Minotaurs on your bad side was one of the worst things that could happen to you in the entire galaxy, but I genuinely believe having the Space Sharks against you might be even worse. You'll see the Minotaurs coming from a mile off. You'll know exactly the moment that Asterion Malok shoves his spear up your ass. For the Space Sharks, you'll live in fear, never knowing when they will arrive until the day they're in front of you for the split second before you're torn in half. Overall, another dope-ass chapter that shows why there are a lot of people that think loyalists are way cooler than traitors. And that does us for today, guys. The lore, origins, and sharkiness of the Space Sharks. Massive thank you to Sleepy Sack. Without him, this video would not be possible, as I literally don't have the time to make it with the animation in full swing. So him editing this video is a massive favour to me and you guys.
No problem, Major Kill. And I would just like to say thank you again for giving me this awesome opportunity to appear on the channel. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have too. Thank you.
Yeah. Make sure you check him out, guys. The more people making lore videos equals more lore nerds. If you enjoyed the video, want to support the channel, and love boobs, then Patreon is the place to be. Only $1 gives you...
That's it. The Carcharodons. Space Sharks. The Space Sharks. I don't know. Okay. So some thoughts. Well, I'll try to talk loud. There was a lot of hype going into them. I think I'm still gonna watch Voldemort's video on it. I'm not gonna watch I'm not going to. I don't know if I'll make a video out of it. I'll leave this one, and whoever makes it here, let me know if you would like to see me make a video out of the space sharks. But honestly, I may just move on and try to get all bits of different chapters. There's the Blood Angels. There's a bunch that I have to watch, but I don't know. There was hype going into the space sharks, and I actually don't think. I don't know. They're not that cool to me. The space sharks are not. I was kind of expecting a little bit of cooler stuff, but maybe because for me, this is just for me personally. Maybe just because out of the sheer just simplicity of them. No, I can't say that because some things that are simple are really freaking dope. Like, I really enjoyed the Alpha Legion. I think those Alpharius and them were really cool. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it was too much hype going into the space sharks. I was really ready to learn about them, but they were kind of just meh. I want to learn about the Minotaurs. I think the Minotaurs might be next for what I'm checking out, but we'll see. But other than that, much love in Moonlight. That was a cool vid. And as always, I will see you later.